Welcome to VNTR Bali. My name is Prem Sangeet, and we are hosted here in Ubud, in Hot Stone by ELEMENTIS. Thank you all for coming here, some new members and old members, and it's really interesting topic tonight. It's return of the health investment. We always look for ROI, but what happens when we invest in health? And this is what we're going to explore tonight. So just to give you a brief overview of the agenda, we're going to do a little intro about VNTR. Then we're going to have a special guest, Russell Simmons, to discuss this topic of return of investment for health. And then we're going to have like a little tour, a structured sauna and hydrogen cold plunge. And we're going to have some nice yummy dinner, organic and vegan. So we're just gonna show an example to all of you who are listening to this podcast and you guys in the room to show the example of how other VNTR chapters and investors around the world can follow this model. So I'm gonna give you a brief intro about VNTR. It stands for venture, and it's a global leading investor community. And it's full of VCs, LPs, angels, family offices. We have about 5,000 members now. These are accredited investors in 40 countries. And Bali is being one of the examples that we want to set as the best example. So these are the current countries that are happening around the world. And we have products like Community, VNTR Club. We have a podcast, obviously, a marketplace where people can sell their secondaries, their shares. And also we have a VNTR fund where we invest in amazing startups through these syndicates. There is a first summit coming very soon. And there is a first VNTR house in Portugal open for all the members to come enjoy and stay. The platform is open to all of you guys for free. It's amazing to connect with other people. So community is all about learning from each other, sharing, co-investing, and attending these amazing events. So on the 11th of November, there will be Investor Summit in Lisbon. We're doing another one in December in Abu Dhabi. And then in Davos, there's going to be also a roundtable in January 21st. So it's a lot of things happening. Always great speakers. Always amazing members. So you'll be able to see this presentation later on. I'm going to skip a lot of these slides that you're going to be able to see. But there is a deal flow for the companies. We always try to bring some companies to our events. And tonight you'll be able to meet some of the amazing companies here in Bali that are working on health, on water, on the food. And also some other VC fund. If you're an LP investor, you'll be able to invest. There's more details about the rounds and the partners. And without any further ado, I would like to welcome Russell Simmons, the legend himself, truly inspiring entrepreneur.
Thank you for including me.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. I'm just fascinating with your journey. And I'm just curious to learn, when did it take turn for you to build like such a big empire of music and culture and switch into the investing in health, in consciousness?
Well, I've never really, I'm an investor. I'm guided by passion. And so when it was music, and film, it was film, TV the same, and poetry or financial service because people needed it. I started to go away from cultural things. And when I invested, I didn't leave them because I also did fashion. There were things I loved, and then I evolved, and people smarter than me took over in many cases. So I was able to leave behind ideas that were less inspiring to me. The financial service was the first real, I said, I saw that I had always invested in holes. I mean, there were white spaces that were wide open, but there was never a rap record before I made a rap record. So, for example, no one did poetry, right? So when I did financial service, it was because people had to have this digital bank idea. It was an idea that no one ever heard of. And so I did it because and I realized that around that time, that I was what I call today a business yogi.
Business yogi.
Yeah, because I
Love
mean,
it.
all my books, I write a chapter on the business yogi. So I do things that fill a space, but always things I think that make people feel good or lift people up. And that, for me, a guy who can't count, to be part of the creation of digital banking, it was because people needed it so badly. And no one, it seemed like it was crystal clear, but no banker understood. Or for 10 years at least, I worked with this rush card and this idea, and we were servicing, hundreds of thousands of people, but people still thought it was not necessary. But it was such a crystal clear hole. And that's, I think, because, people are in their boxes, and especially bankers, right? Money people, they very rigid for the most part, and they couldn't see it. So I knew at that time that that's really where I understood better. This was my natural inkling to do these things, but that's when I started to believe that, my job was to invest in places that I loved that didn't exist, things I saw.
Beautiful.
Is that the answer you asked?
Yes, thank you for sharing. Really inspiring. And you mentioned business yogi, and I'm wondering, what's your experience of how does that inner peace translate into the business, into your...
Well, I mean, the yogi, there's many different, there are 8 different parts of the most classic yoga, right? So from a Dharma perspective, this is a way to inner peace, but it was actually, the choice and work that promoted the peace. So and not the peace before the work became the peace or promoted the peace. So some of the work could be perceived as, or could somehow still cause stress. It wouldn't be the easy route always. Yeah. Could be the hard route, but it would still be the thing that, as a business yogi means, I think of it more in terms of filling a void for people who need. So if you're a servant and at the same time a businessman, right now, I think that's the only way we're going to survive, is that business people will find solutions that without it being business will never. When I did Rush Card in the beginning, for instance, I gave it to Acorn, which was a government agency, and say, people need this. Do you want it? Because I had many charities. I had 5 charities at the time. And my heart was very much in philanthropic and social initiatives. But no one could do it unless it made money. So it had to make money to make sense to anyone. So the business, the big corporation or the bureaucracy couldn't deliver on it. And so we started to do it ourselves, and then getting regulatory issues behind us, because no one ever heard of it. So it was that experience showed me, and something that I talk about now quite often, is that business is the only way to save. The plastic will not get done until the plastic issue, until they can really make money on it. When plastic is money, that should have disappeared, right? And until then, it won't. So that's what Rush Card was. Rush Card and the digital bank was because people really needed it, and no one could see enough money in it. There were small margins, but I could see that there was some, and I saw daylight, and I continued with that process until it became something.
Fantastic.
Sold it too soon.
Sold it too soon.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Sold everything too soon.
Yeah. But then you really invested in good things. And for you, I've seen you exited so many businesses, through music to culture to fashion to fintech, and then you kept investing into health. So what's for you definition of return of the health investment? I know you've been investing a lot in biohacking, in longevity, through your GDAS and Bali Eden clinic.
I'm lucky enough to find passion in things that are like the poetry. It's like that, but this is different because it's much easier. You can see it. Everybody can see that there's a health revolution developing. I don't have to create a revolution. I don't have to say, oh, we're going to do something no one ever heard of, but everybody kind of wants, but they don't say it. Everybody wants this. This becomes, my friends are dying. I'm old. I need it. People are dying because their diets, because of their lack of self-care. And it's become a bigger issue than it has been in the past, or more talked about, I would say. And so there's a hole in the market. Even though it looks like it's being filled, there's a big hole. And so we're lucky enough to be part of a new revolution. And we're a little bit, not early, we're in good time for a change. Not too early.
It's the best time now.
I think it's a good time. It'll get better. It's going to keep growing. people, I was thinking that, I saw something in China, which Andrew, you probably saw this. In China, they have these, places like GDOS or like Nirvana and these beautiful spas, this great food and all this medical care and all this stuff. And they have pods to sleep in. They're 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, oh shit, like the really best first class seat that has a chair and a table and then the TV, and you press the button, it gets dark. And it's social. I mean, that's where clubs, that's the new club, right? They go there, they play music, they giggle and shit, they go to sleep, you wake up. You feed them a vitamin drip in the morning, right? And no alcohol at night. And that's the new club to some people. The next generation may really gravitate and hang out in places like that, like on Friday night. I see it coming. It's happening already here. If you look at Nirvana, it's a great example. All the young people there.
These clubs are full, right? You have so many great examples. And Bali then is one of the great examples.
It's a good example of older people, though. It's a little different. So I'm saying that this next generation, we live in Ubud. It's a more, it's even more optimization. But there, at first, I thought of that place, Nirvana in Canggu, as recovery. Mm-hmm. But even that, everybody's got a bunch of muscles in that motherfucker. It's not really just recovery. A lot of it is optimization for those kids. They never even went out and got drunk. They just woke up early and worked out and hang out and in this plunge and do their work. Digital nomads, many of them. And it's just a new lifestyle developing that has to combat the poisonous food and the environment and the toxicity that adults have put on them. This next generation will be a lot healthier because of this new fad or trend.
So the trend becomes a standard, and then the industry skyrockets.
Yeah, I think it's just starting.
Toxic things, but
yeah.
And you've been practicing meditation and yoga, and you've been plant-based for decades now. How did that impacted you and your business?
Well,
and your investment.
This just natural evolution. But we're talking. Until I was 37, I was high. Well, until I was 30, 37, I found yoga. That's 30 years ago, 36, 37, 31 years ago. But it was a natural shift, but it was also out of necessity. You find yourself being late for work. I really had passion for my businesses, and I found that drugs and alcohol and all these things were really distractions. And I just had the courage to one day to pick a day. I picked a day months in advance. I said, I'm going to quit everything on that day. And I don't know where that I don't even know where that amount of resilience came from, because I woke up one morning and said, I don't want any cocaine. I don't want any angel dust. I don't want any cigarettes. I don't want any alcohol. I want shit. And minute by minute, I didn't have those things until it was week by week. And then, it was a pretty, I don't think I could do all those things at once again. But I did, and that was 30 some years ago.
Super inspiring.
I was 30, so 30, 37, 38 years ago that I quit those things.
You shifted your whole concept of how you build businesses, how you sell them, what you invest. Was more clear to you.
Much clear, more clear, less late, and more, professional. But it was an evolution. It doesn't, just because I did that one thing on one day and lived by a promise to myself, didn't mean that my life shifted. Like even your pursuit of yoga becomes either more intense or more focused or more, because I think I was 37. I went to my first yoga class. All I had was a Stairmaster and go walking and shit. I did a lot of it when I first quit all those drugs and stuff. But when I found yoga, that was, I did that every day, but it was only just the asana that I did daily. And my teacher gave me a copy of the Yoga Sutras. And from there, I started to really look more closely at the yogic science as a lifestyle.
So there was an inspiration through book, Yoga Sutra.
Yeah, the Yoga Sutra was obvious. For most people, that's a Bible. It's a science book or textbook for happiness.
For happiness, yeah. And is there any other books you would like to recommend? I know you've written few best-selling books.
Well, all my books are kind of the same because I only know this much. It's really a fact. Each book kind of the same. One relies more heavily on a subject like a meditation, one more on diet, one more on. But they all have the same thing. They all rely
And super rich is a bit more about
consciousness.
Consciousness and business acumen.
No, I mean, super rich. My brother was a famous rapper, but became a preacher. He was a prosperity preacher.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, but there was this big black preacher, very big, famous, named Reverend Ike, and he was a disciple of Reverend Ike. And like you've seen these like preachers that get a lot of money, right? Reverend Ike was a very big prosperity preacher. They used to have Rolls Royce parades, and he read my book, Super Rich. What the fuck is this? He said, "What does this even mean? Like, how are you gonna pay your rent? What is this? How good is this?" And then he told me. So Reverend Run told me that Jesus taught 2 sermons. That one was to the masses, focus very hard on giving, and learn to receive. So good givers are great getters. But he told his disciples to give without expectation. And the disciples, he said, were so rich that they were able to pay the Romans their tax on time, and they just were wealthy, and they never worried about receiving. Right? So that means that they're really focused on the gift, right? And giving. And he said that, and I put that in the beginning of my book to correct, because he read the galley. He was like, "This is bullshit, Russell. When did they get super rich? Because the book was called Super Rich." So anyway, he gave me that little thing, and I put that in there. But the book was only about the state of needing nothing, super rich, right? And then operating from that, he said, "Yeah, it's a good start. Operate from needing nothing, but you got to, So
in that state, you attract.
That's not that much reference to the power of giving and receiving. More the power of giving and the toys that get you to a place where you don't need. The state of needing nothing is super rich.
So inspiring. So we manifest from this state of abundance, what Andrew calls radiant prosperity, right? You're always full of this.
Have you interviewed Andrew already?
Well, maybe for the next VNTR podcast, Andrew can come. Yeah, we did render the interview for Startup Grind once. It was so inspiring.
I'm just inspired by his outfit. He always got the right shit on.
We actually
don't he always look at his fly
here in Bali. There's so many inspiring people and successful entrepreneurs and investors who are just setting an example of what return of health investment is. And this is, I think, we're in Bali setting this new standard.
Everybody's a healer. We live in a place, a bubble. People who know that self-discovery is the goal. You ask somebody in New York, 10 people, you say, what's life about? Not one of those 10 people, not 1 out of 10, will say self-discovery. Not one will say that. And everyone in this room would likely put that in their top 3, and if not, say it first. That we all are here for self-realization and right? No one will say that. So we live in a bubble, and if we could give this out to the world through your podcast, through interviewing the people that live here, and because a lot of times the people who say these things are not accessible in a lot of ways. They don't seem like somebody you can take advice from for some people. So that's just what I see. I believe that there's a lot of people who don't speak the language because people are suffering. The masses, suffering, and the collective is leaning so heavily on all the things that cause sadness instead of happiness, and it's hard to get through to them in some ways. You can say that it's very hard to.
And if there is a way of,
but part of this revolution, included in this new shift of consciousness, on this shift towards a more healthy diet and everything else, it just kind of leads there. It leads to healthy spirit and spiritual evolution. It leads there. Just, how do you feel after working out? The mind gets a little more empty, right? And you want to seek more emptiness.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, you're a fucking monk.
You often speak of conscious capitalism as and I'm curious to learn, how do you measure impact of health? And speaking of New Yorkers, where they invest heavily in the things they're not conscious, they cause even more suffering. How we can measure that impact on health and happiness with investing capital into the right businesses, in right causes, in
I think
philanthropy
people do
that
it
you do?
because of their own. I mean, I certainly, you can't just say you're going to make a lot of money if you invest in upliftment of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you uplifting humanity? You have to have, I think, there are many business people just look at numbers. They come in, they look at your business, well, let's restructure this.
Mm-hmm.
And they can make the numbers sing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other people who have ideas and original ideas. They sing to them, but no one else gets them. Or if they do get them, still, somebody's got to make the numbers work. Somebody's got to make the thing work. So I feel like they're just separate people, separate entrances. Some people are actually happy and feel present. The work is the prayer, they say, right? So if you focus on the work, there's happiness in that.
Mm-hmm.
But if your spirit is guiding you and you're an entrepreneur, then you find things that you love, that the world needs, that you can give. Everybody's not built for that until they get their own. It has to be in them that they will only enjoy giving what they want to receive.
If you were to guide yourself, your younger self, when you were 36 or something like that,
30
or 30,
right, good.
what would you say to your younger self?
I would, I said already at that point that I wanted to be straight, but I would remind cloudiness or clarity gives kind of the same, right? This emptiness we talk about it. So I would make myself sober first. And then after I'd be sober, I would try to, be more focused. But I think it is what it is. You are, and have had the experience you've had to bring you to where you are today. So I don't know what I would say to myself. Of course, I would recommend being sober. There's a lot of things that I would, I guess, not do, but without those experiences, I wouldn't be here. So.
Amazing. And lastly, I wanted to ask you if you can share like one piece of advice to everybody here and everybody who's listening and watching about what they could do to create a better return on health investment.
There's two things that I would say. The one thing I always say is that entrepreneurs are always very resilient. Because, I mean, if they're anything like me, I make a lot of mistakes along the road. So it's about resilience. Faith, dedication, resilience. You got to keep readdressing it. And you can't fail until you quit. So you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you have to stick with it. Entrepreneurs have that. They've had an experience or two that have taught them to go beyond the failure. And there is no failure. They become suddenly, they wanted me to sell the infrastructure to RushCard for nothing. I had a liquidity crunch at the time. I said, sell that company, I said, no, but it's going to be something. What the fuck is it? Like, it's already starting, don't worry. But if you doubt yourself, then you readdress it and you get it right and it starts to become something else. But, every company was ripe for giving up or selling before they became overnight successes. They all take years to really come to fruition. All of them. So it's about resilience and faith and just kind of keep readdressing things is a thing I would say. And there was two questions. The other one?
Oh, it was just amazing advice that you shared.
Oh, just being resilient is one piece.
Resilience.
It was something else that came to mind. But that's really it. And everybody's not the same. Like I said, I like passion. I love what I do and I go to work every day. And it could be something, that I don't know how to do. But someone else knows exactly how to make the numbers sing. They're different kinds of mindsets. Some people have a little bit of both, right? Yeah. Some people are smart. Yeah, if you're lucky, those people come along. Because if not, I'll fuck it up. I can't count. We did the first fintech company and I can't count. It was an idea. I'll hold in money and they'll spend it, right? Then they didn't have to go to check cash in place. Then they didn't have to, all those things changed because I'm going to hold your money and we're going to spend it. I couldn't do the tech and I couldn't, and I couldn't count anyway. So
but you hired these eight players.
No, I had a partner who was brilliant, understood the technology. And he also had a bunch of debt. He used to buy debt. So he had so much like distressed debt. He bought like 6 cents on a dollar. So first we thought one of the things we would do is convert those people. But then there was too many regulatory issues, so we never were able to contact them about giving them this new opportunity. We had to go out into the world and teach people who had never had any kind of financial service tool how to use it, which was the miracle of it all, was that people learned how to use it.
Because you were able to learn it, not knowing even how to count. And you had fantastic team players, like, one of your previous partners, Kevin, just sold his company, 360 Entertainment. And
he's the reason Def Jam was successful. Kevin Lyles, then he sold 300 for $400 million.
400 million exit, right? Fantastic. And when I see how you guys still work together, and when you put this capital back into investing in health, it's really inspiring to see. And then, having watched you and Kevin, and then Rick Rubin and all the crew, a lot of partners through decades, and then phases of Def Jam, through creating new fashion from music, creating a new culture, and now creating clubs, which is a new club in Tokyo for Def Jam. It's completely what is happening in wellness as well, in health, just bringing back the community. It's just so inspiring to see how over decades you constantly create new innovations, revolutions. And I say, when I see Russell's doing something, that's going to be next big thing. So I know that whatever you're working on now with the health, with the biohacking, with wellness, it's absolutely going to blow in a good way the whole humanity.
Well, your mouth to God's ears. I'm lucky. I call it, I live there. So it's like yoga and vegan Disneyland for me. Yes, I want to export it, and I want it to be the centerpiece of a whole investment in everything from the natural remedies that have been suppressed to all the things, the new technologies that are being introduced to, there's so much happening in space. And we want to try to be a credible source of promotions, really in marketing, and a source to make hopefully good choices to help deliver these ideas to the people.
Fantastic. Thank you for being an example of everything that you do. So inspiring. And I want to lastly ask you a few questions around Roundtable. So we in VNTR do this Roundtable discussions when we answer a few questions. So what is your investment focus and activity at the moment?
Well, I'm moving very slow, but I want to be deliberate about finishing this particular, and I've been talking to people in various different countries about replications of what we built here at GDAS. GDAS incidentally means God's servant, and it was from a thing that came to me, Govinda Das, to Sanskrit. So Govinda Das, God's servant, Govinda Das Ananda, God's blissful servant. But anyway, so it became GDAS, and my friend named it. He passed away. He passed away for lack of self-care. My best friend. And he was in Bali, and he said, "I'll call you GDAS." When I told him the name, he laughed at me. So anyway, so GDAS, I hope, is the centerpiece for a much bigger. I usually have a lot of businesses going on at once. I'm 104. This can broaden out and take. I also have the Gush Cloud business, as you probably know. We're in 11 countries, 13 countries now, and we were talking about where we would be public. We met with the Singaporean Stock Exchange, which would be a big stretch, and they had now gotten big investments and feel very safe going public there. And so that's this idea of helping these young people. Each one of them is a brand. So for me, I'm particularly interested in helping those people who are part of this revolution. As the chairman of that company, I see that, I remember I used to pay $100,000 for page 36 on Vogue or GQ for my fashion company. It'd be page 36, pass along rate of 3 for 1 million subscriptions. So 4 million people would hold a magazine, possibly, I don't know how many would go to page 36 and see my ad for my fashion company. And then we were talking to the managers yesterday, to a kid who has 161 million TikTok followers. It's like insane, right? And the amount of reach these people have. And they're not all easily turned into brands. They can all develop other people's brands. But some have so much passion for what they love that they could be in the centerpiece of any kind of cultural or creative revolution.
So inspiring and so influential. And what are your hobbies and interests at the moment?
I do the same thing every day. I meditate at 8. I go to my 1 hour Bikram at 9. I go jump in the cryo chamber. I lay down and make a few business calls. I don't have any like hardcore. I'm going to start playing paddle. Everybody keeps telling me I better play paddle or I'm going to die of old age, right? Paddle? Everybody, yeah, right? The whole, yeah, that's like, and you don't play it either, right? Let's not get old. Let's not fucking get old. Because, us not playing is like, everybody's hitting, right? Will we snap our ankle if we play?
No.
They say young people tell you, oh, no problem. It's right across the street. Everybody's playing paddle.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of hobbies. I don't play basketball anymore. So I guess my hobby is that I practice yoga every day and I meditate and, I enjoy doing way too much. I spend a lot of time on just movement. I go on my walk every day. I go walk through nature and through the villages in Bali. And I have an office in Singapore I go to, and that's fun, to visit, or New York when I go visit. But I'm not as, in a hurry to see. I have offices all over I haven't seen in Asia. And I want to go to some, I haven't been to Vietnam ever. I haven't been to the Philippines ever. And I have offices there. A bunch of people work there. So I'm old. I don't want to get off the plane with a fucking backpack. I want somebody to pick me up and say, we have this for you to do. So I'm going to go visit those offices.
Yeah. And how about your current challenges?
Oh, there's many, but they're all coming behind me. I think my next chapter in my life is moving forward. I had a scandal, so I'm suing HBO, which people will see the outcome and be surprised that, there's a moment, a very difficult moment that I went through that I think people are starting to realize that, a 40-year-old story is just that. It's 40 years old. It's a story that you may never have heard, but it sounds good and it's worth suing over. So I went through a very vicious scandal, and a lot of my friends did, many friends. And it was such a necessary moment for people to talk about this kind of suffering or what happened, but this correction that needed to be had. Many people are, I think, in part collateral damage for it. And it's, that's what celebrities are there for, to be examples of what everybody else is watching happen in front of them. So they see something happen, and I don't care, Kim Kardashian say, yeah, I had the same problem. Only it's magnified what happened to Kim, right? So it's kind of like that's what celebrities, they accept a lot of the stuff that society is going through. And so it's a very difficult moment, and that's pretty much behind me. But if not for it, like I said about examples, I wouldn't be in Bali. I came here to visit, to get out of the mud. Then I kept coming back over and over again until I fell in love and realized I belonged here. So I have an office in LA as well I go to sometimes.
And what help do you require from others? Do you require any help from others?
Right now, less help. But I don't want. I own a hotel 100%. The Rejuvenation Center 100%. I met many hotel partners, and they all kept saying, "How many keys you got? How many keys? What the fuck keys? I have a medical facility next door, and all they ever ask is how many keys." So they still, the traditional hoteliers don't see that this next revolution is coming. Those 24-hour places I talked about, I saw online from China. I would go to China. If I landed in Beijing and they said, we're going to go to a 24-hour spa, and you can hang up your shit and it irons itself, and you're in this little pod, right? You don't need a hotel. You don't need a room any bigger than the room they're going to put you in, which is a pod, and you're going to wake up and step into the ice bath. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? So they don't see that a piece of the hotel business is headed there much faster and bigger. Now, the reason they don't see it, because if you're in a Ritz-Carlton and you go to the gym, there's nobody there. Get this giant gym with all this nice shit. No one's there. But it's not built for that. Right? You don't go to Chicago. Like, if you went to Chicago and you say, when I go to Chicago, I'm gonna check in, there's 1,000 hotels. I'm gonna check in this hotel. And this hotel is gonna do all these things for me. And check all my shit. Gonna give me, I'm gonna get a vitamin drip, and I might even get stem cells. All the. So if that hotel exists amongst 1,000 hotels, and that hotel is vegan, doesn't sell any animal product, that hotel doesn't sell any alcohol, you can go there just because you're fucking drunk, right? You can go, you're drunk. I'm gonna go to work in Chicago this week, and I'm gonna be sober, So I think that there's a piece of the future in the hospitality business that is part of our revolution. And that's.
Where medical tourism.
So what I need is, I've talked to quite a few very powerful hotel figures, and I think when I'm finished, and like I just hired finally a really good wellness director, your man, and he's great. I'm so happy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, these are best endorsements, right? You guys, he is awesome, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Looks like Aquaman. He's the only non Balinese that works in a hotel, man. He's like a godsend, like out of heaven. I've been waiting. Do I want to hire? I had all these famous people who could have created protocol, and one was going to actually move here. And
that's amazing. And then, how can you help others?
Well, that's the whole purpose of going to work every day. You might selfishly want to be successful and do these things, and I do want a new Toyota and all that kind of shit, but I think every morning, this morning was, I don't know how many people you had this morning?
Yeah.
A lot of people, right? Yesterday morning, especially. Yes, all these people come and meditate, and the girl left this morning and gave me extra magnesium. I spray on my feet to sleep. All these little toys. And then she said that her trip to GDOS was the most rewarding and surprising, shift for her that she would take with her for the rest of her life. And I've had that experience already. Like Ben Vereen came for 2 weeks and stayed 12. When he left, his name was Uncle Wayan, the famous dancer, Ben Vereen.
Yeah.
And he came, and he loves when I tell the story that he came up the ramp in a wheelchair drunk. And he left. He went on back home and sang with Liza Minnelli on the road.
Wow.
And he hadn't sang in years. And he said that, and he still keeps in touch with the people he met in Bali. Almost daily, he'll send a nice note to this group called the Beloved Community. So I'm part of the community. I see that. And Taraji was on NBC talking about her experience in Bali, how it changed her life, saved her life, she said.
Mike Tyson also shared some interesting
Mike Tyson,
things.
he had fun, but he didn't change his life. His life was already changed. Mike Tyson he said he had Bopu and quit all the drugs and everything. He's sober as fuck. He's very tame Mike Tyson. And you've heard Mike Tyson talk about ripping your head off and all that shit. He didn't have that too much. He can go there, I guess. He's still Mike Tyson, right? But no, Usher and Mike Tyson and a few others didn't. But life-changing. David Banner tells everybody, I didn't even know he changed his life. He meditated every morning. He went to yoga. He enjoyed his stay. But then I hear that he thinks that really was a shift for him. Said his acting got better. He made another record that was a hit. He hadn't had a hit in years. He said that was a part of it. So you didn't even know who you affect and how, being in Bali is magical for a lot of people.
And investing in your health is also magical.
Investing in your health is the best. How selfish can you be? But I live in yoga and vegan Disneyland. I get to help other people. It's pretty good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Russell, for keep inspiring us, for being our North Star for consciousness, for health.
Let me say this. I'm older and I've had a lot of experiences. But living in this community, one of the first people I met was Andrew. And all the people that I meet through you and around you, all of these people who are so focused on self, it's like a bubble of love being here. And so I see people and, no one knows who's enlightened and who's not, right? Well, the enlightened ones don't tell you, right? They walk around, the Jivan Muktas, they walk around, they just smile and shit. When things go bad, they still smile. Then they don't smile because they don't want you to be uncomfortable. Those people, I feel like I'm surrounded with people who are very close to God, right? And it's really pretty amazing. So thank you for seeing me and as one of this community members.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Russell.